form, shape, variegatedness, and so forth, to Vaikuntha is the extent to which the Swarup Shaktis manifest.
Lo que sí da la forma a
When we go
Vaikuntha
from even Vaikuntha to Goloka, we find the Swarup Shakti seems to be even more prominent. And as I've said sometimes, in
es el
Goloka,
Sarup
you know,
Shakti.
Krishna doesn't even have time to sleep. He's so busy
En Goloka Krishna ni
answering, if you
siquiera
will, to the
tiene
love of his
tiempo para
devotees, which
dormir,
is the
está tan
manifestation of
ocupado
this Swarup
en
Shakti, that he
el amor con
is
sus
the
devotos.
form of the love that corresponds
Y a través del Sarup
their
Shakti,
type of
Krishna
intimate
es
love
la
that, as I
forma
say,
del
keeps
amor
him
que
moving up the
corresponde
night.
a estos devotos.
So going from Vaikuntha or Goloka to Vaikuntha and into
Pasando de
Brahman love,
Goloka a
these
Vaikuntha y al Brahman,
there the Swarup Shakti is not manifest. So
allí el Sarup Shakti no
there's
está
no real
manifiesto.
experience there. There's
Entonces
no
no hay
other.
experiencia de el otro.
It's a restful kind of condition.
Es
Sometimes it's
una
compared to deep
condición de
sleep or
descanso, se
sushupti,
describe a veces
which
como
is the
sushupti
macrocosmic deep
o
sleep.
sueño
Sushupti
profundo.
means dreamless sleep. So sometimes we experience deep
Sushupti quiere
dreamless sleep
decir
at night and we get a good
sueño
rest.
sin
And we
sueños.
wake up and say, oh, I rested really
A
well.
veces nos despertamos tras haber dormido muy
Acharyas from the
profundamente
past have
y
said,
no
well,
tenemos
you
conciencia de
must have been
esta
there,
condición,
even though
pero
you
sí
had no
sabemos
thoughts,
que
no dreams,
dormimos bien
and no
porque estamos
waking
descansados.
experience of
Entonces
physical
los acharyas nos
movement.
dicen,
You must have been there because you
debes haber
remember,
estado ahí en este
and
estado
you can't remember
porque
something you didn't experience. So you were
tienes memoria de
experiencing
eso y no puedes
contentless
recordar algo de que no tienes
consciousness.
experiencia.
There's no content to it. It's
Entonces,
just restful,
el Brahman,
peaceful.
la liberación en el Brahman
So
es
this is
una
the
conciencia sin contenido,
microcosmic experience
es
that we
pura
have.
paz y descanso.
Every time we go into dreamless sleep, the implication is what? Again,
La
that the
implicación
waking
del
state
sueño sin
is
sueños
unmanifest.
es
The
que
thinking state,
el
dreams, is
estadio
unmanifest. But
de
I still
estar
exist. So I
despiertos
exist
es
independently of
manifiesto,
thought
no está manifiesto
and
cuando uno está en este
action
tipo de sueño.
in this world.
La esfera del pensamiento tampoco está
And
manifiesta, pero
now
yo
if we take
sigo
the
existiendo.
microcosmic
A nivel
experience
macrocósmico,
of
la
deep sleep,
experiencia
take it to
macrocósmica
the macrocosm,
del sueño
we
profundo
call that sushupti.
se llama sushupti.
When the whole world winds up back into Vishnu and all the jivas from a
Cuando todo el mundo
heterogeneous
se encoge
condition
y vuelve dentro de
brought about by
Mahavishnu,
karmic differences moves into a homogeneous type of
y
state
todo se convierte en un estadio homogéneo.
within the Mahavishnu. That's called
Dentro
susupti.
dentro de Mahavishnu.
It's like
Esto es
dreamless
sushupti,
sleep on a
es un sueño sin
macrocosmic
sueños.
scale. Now this
A
and the
nivel
microcosmic
macrocósmico,
scale are used
esto y la
to
escala
speak
macroscópica se
about
usan para
often the
describir
nature of Brahman,
la
which is
naturaleza del Brahman,
obviously beyond susupti.
que por
Brahman
supuesto
is
está
like
más allá que el
susupti,
sushupti.
but the
El
difference
Brahman
is
es como el
that in
sushupti, pero la
susupti the
diferencia
karma
es que el
is
karma
suspended.
está suspendido en
And when
sushupti.
its time comes again, it
Y cuando
manifests
la hora
and
llega, se
the
vuelve a
world again
manifestar y el
manifests.
mundo
The
vuelve
jivas come
a
out
manifestarse,
according to their
los
karma and so
jivas
forth. But
salen según su
more or less,
karma, todo sigue como antes.
the state of susupti is analogous to Brahman. The difference being that entering the Brahma Suja, the karma is gone.
Pero hasta cierto punto
So
sushupti
there's
es
no coming
análogo al
back
Brahman.
to the material world because there's
Pero en
no
el
karma
Brahman no hay
that's
vuelta,
waiting to arrest you
no hay
and
karma,
manifest in
porque
due
todo el
course. And
karma
there's
se ha
nothing to do
agotado,
there.
no hay nada que hacer.
There's no action. There's nothing karma that you could commit. So you're kind of in a suspended state
El
of
karma se ha
animation,
agotado y no
no
hay más
suffering.
karma que se pueda hacer en este estadio de Brahma Sayuji.
It's kind of the bliss of
Es de una
existing.
forma la beatitud del
But there's
existir,
almost not even the
la dicha del
experience of
existir.
existing.
Pero es como que, casi como que no hay experiencia del
It's deep
existir.
sleep, so to speak.
Es un sueño profundo, sueño profundo.
In that condition, because the Sarup Shakti is not manifest, there's no variety, and there's no agency on the part of the jiva that's manifest, which is an inherent quality of the jiva. It's a doer.
Entonces no hay variedad y no hay un agente, no hay autor de ninguna acción.
The ananda of the jiva, which requires
Tampoco se
shakti.
encuentra el ananda del jiva porque requiere shakti para
Just
manifestarse.
like doing something requires shakti.
Así como hacer algo requiere shakti para manifestarse.
these
igual
certain
con la
qualities of
beatitud
the
del
jiva,
Ananda.
its
Estas son
bliss,
cualidades del jiva,
its capacity to
su
be
beatitud,
a
su capacidad de
qualitative
ser
experiencer,
una
its
persona que hace
capacity to
experiencias
be a doer,
cualitativas
for example. These are inherent
y su
qualities of the
capacidad
jiva.
de ser
They're not manifest
un actor,
because it
un
requires Shakti
actuador.
for them to be manifest.
Eso no se
In the material
manifiesta
world, they're
porque requiere
manifest
Shakti. En el mundo material sí
by
se
the agency
manifiesta
of the Maya Shakti.
a través de la agencia
In liberation, beyond
del
Brahma
Maya
Sayuja,
Shakti.
they're manifest, those
Y
inherent
también
qualities of
se
jiva,
encuentran más allá que el
by the
Brahma
Swarup
Sayuja, en
Shakti.
el estado liberado más allá de
Now, the
Sayuja
subtle
Mukti,
point here is, of course, if
gracias al
these are
Swarup
inherent
Shakti.
qualities of the jiva
Estas
itself,
son cualidades inherentes del Jiva mismo,
uncovered by Maya,
sin la
then
cobertura de
Swarup
Maya.
Shakti in some capacity must be present in the jiva also.
Entonces el Swarup Shakti de alguna
Because
forma
those
tiene que
qualities can't be
estar
manifest without Swarup
presente
Shakti.
en el
So,
Jiva
to your
también, y esas
question,
cualidades no pueden
so the point there,
encontrarse
important one,
en el Jiva
uh,
sin Swarup
Bhakti
Shakti.
Vinod's position is
La posición de
that
Bhaktivinoda Thakur es que
attaining Sayuja Mukti is a type
lograr
of
el
mukti,
Sayuja
so
Mukti
there's
es un
no
tipo de Mukti.
return from there. But it's an indistinct,
Entonces no hay vuelta de ahí,
I think he
pero
uses
es
the term
indistinto.
indistinct realization of the
Es una
nature of the
realización
self,
indistinta de la naturaleza del ser,
which is, in his perspective, to be a servant of Bhagwan.
que
That's what
es
it is.
ser
It
un
exists
servidor de
for
Bhagavan.
that purpose. That's its
Pues
nature.
para
That's its
este es
inherent
la
nature, to be a
naturaleza
servant of
inherente
Bhagawan.
de ser un servidor de
And
Bhagavan.
in that condition, well, it's kind of like I say, it's animation is suspended. So the
Allí su
full
animación
nature of
está
the jiva is
suspendida,
not manifest
entonces la
there. Now,
naturaleza
what
completa
Sanatana
del Jiva no
Goswami
está
has said
manifiesta. Lo que
is
dice Sanatana Goswami es
in
que
3 or 4 different places in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he cites the Vedanta Sutra, in a couple
allí
of
él
places.
cita el Vedanta Sutra,
Where else? I can't recall all of them. I was just looking at the other day, but I can't recall all the
otras fuentes
different
también.
texts that he cites. There's 2 or 3 that from Brahma Sayuja, one can progress.
Desde el Brahma
Possible
Sayuja
by
alguien
God's
puede
mercy
progresar, es
to
posible,
a
por
condition
la
of
misericordia de Dios.
servitude in Vaikuntha. The implication from
Puede
Bhaktivinoda's
progresar hasta
perspective
la
is
servitud
that time the full nature
en
of the jiva
Vaikuntha.
is manifest. Now, does that answer
Y
your first
allí
question? Right?
el Jiva se manifiesta en
I
su
think so. I
totalidad.
think I
¿Está bien?
addressed it.
¿Contesté bien?
And
¿Te
the second
satisface?
question,
Mi respuesta a la
I
segunda
think that, well,
pregunta.
in order to attain Brahma Sayuja, yes, you need bhakti. In order to attain any form of liberation, you need bhakti.
Para lograr la
And the
liberación
inherent qualities of
impersonal
the
sí hace
jiva,
falta bhakti.
which
Y
is
la cualidad
inherently a liberated
inherente del
entity,
Jiva, que por su
right?
naturaleza es
The
una
jiva is
entidad
inherently
liberada,
not material. It
el
is
Jiva
spiritual.
inherentemente no es material, es
So for it
espiritual.
to realize its full nature, well,
Entonces, para realizar su
and
naturaleza
be what it is,
plena y
it has to
ser
have
lo que
bhakti to be
es,
what it is.
le
Otherwise,
hace falta bhakti.
all of its qualities won't be manifest. If those qualities are actually inherent in the jiva, then there must be some bhakti in the jiva for them to be manifest. Anyway, with regard to entering into Sayuja Mukti and the necessity of bhakti,
Hablando de Sayuja Mukti y la
I think that
necesidad del bhakti,
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that invokes the term Satviki
Vishwanath
Bhakti.
Chakravarti Thakur usa el término
Sattva
Sattviki
Guna
Bhakti.
gives us
El Sattva
knowledge
Guna
of the
nos da
self.
conocimiento del ser.
The so-called Jivan Muktas,
Los Jivan
which
Muktas, como se le
is
dice,
really a term coming from Shankar,
es un
that the
término
Gaudiyas
que
don't
viene de Shankara, que los Gaudiyas
agree with him on.
no están de acuerdo con él.
A Jivan Mukta means supposed to mean someone who's
Jivan
liberated in
Mukta
this life, but he has
supuestamente
to still have prarabdha karma, so he has to still have Sattva
es
Guna
alguien que llega a
in
la
the least,
liberación en esta vida, pero
covering
sigue con
him or
prarabdha
her.
karma.
So it's not really liberated. The Gaudiya idea of
La idea
Jivan Mukta
Gaudiya de
is
Jivan Mukta
one who's fully
es
engaged in the
uno que
sadhakadeya
está
in all respects, body, mind, words, intelligence, in Krishna service. is a jiva
actuando
mukti,
en
liberated
el
even in
servicio
this
de
life.
Krishna con su mente,
But
palabras,
otherwise,
acciones, etc. Ese es un
um,
Jivan Mukta,
the jnani,
según un
so-called
Gauriya.
jiva mukti, is covered by prarabdha karma.
Sino el Jnani,
So,
según ellos,
in
está
order for him to
todavía
obtain
cubierto
what we
de
call
prarabdha
videha
karma, o sea, el
mukti, to
karma que está
enter, in
manifiesto.
this case, in
Entonces,
the
para
Brahma
llegar a
Sahaja,
Videha Mukti, o
then he
sea,
needs
liberación sin el
some
cuerpo,
bhakti, right?
le hace falta
But
bhakti.
But Rupa Goswami, Vishnu Chakra Thakur used
Pero
the term
Vishwanath Chakravarti
sattviki
Thakur
bhakti, which
habla
means
de Sattviki
sattva
Bhakti.
guna, which can give
Quiere
knowledge of the
decir
self,
Sattva Guna, que puede dar conocimiento del
gets
ser,
empowered by
está
bhakti,
apoderado por el Bhakti,
sattviki bhakti,
Sattviki Bhakti.
to do something that unto itself it cannot. So a little bit of bhakti
Entonces
factored
un
in,
poquito de Bhakti
with gyan being prominent,
mezclada con,
bhakti being
con
secondary,
Jnana, un poquito de
can
Bhakti
afford
con
one
mucho
entrance
Jnana,
into Sayuja Mukti.
hace de manera que uno sí pueda entrar al Sayuja Mukti.
Why doesn't that bhakti take
¿Y
over?
por qué ese
Because
Bhakti,
it's only a form of
digamos, no
sattviki
gana?
bhakti,
Porque es una forma de
and
Sattviki
it's not
Bhakti.
he or she, that the sadhaka
Y el
is not
sadhaka
prominently engaged in bhakti.
no
Now,
está
if you take,
haciendo Bhakti de forma activa.
and of course, you're implying this as well in your question, is something I said that the desire for mukti has to be very strong.
Y
It's going to be
también, como
stronger
dijiste en tu
than
pregunta,
any
el
material
deseo
desire.
para Mukti
All material
tiene que
desires
ser
have to
más
be
fuerte que
retired
cualquier otro deseo material. Todos los deseos materiales hay
and
que
replaced, if you will, by the desire for mukti,
retirarlos y
mukshatva.
reemplazarlos
It's such
por
an
el
intense
deseo
desire for
de
mukti,
Mukti,
retires all other material desires. So material desires are
que
easier to
hace
do
que
away with
cualquier
than
otro
the
deseo
desire for
material
mukti.
desaparezca.
It's stronger than all material desires together. It has retired all of those desires. Now you've got to retire that desire. Oh goodness. But
Entonces
the
ahora
desire, material
tenemos que
desire to be a
retirar
king, or a desire to be
el deseo
this
para
or that,
Mukti.
or to be a guru, whatever your material desires are,
Desear
to be a,
ser rey o guru
a Brahma, a big devotee,
o hasta Brahma.
or just ordinary material desire. Dhruva's case, he wanted a kingdom. That's a small thing,
Son cosas pequeñas.
and easy to
Dhruva quería
retire.
un reino.
And
Son
also,
fáciles
his bhakti
de
was more
desechar.
prominent than you're
Y
going to
también
find
su bhakti era
in, I would say,
más,
most cases where someone is trying to attain
digamos, más fuerte que
Sayuja
su
Mukti.
deseo para un reino. Mientras
So it's easier to retire material desires
es más
than it
fácil
is to desire
descartar los deseos materiales
a very intense desire for
que un
mukti.
deseo muy
And
intenso para
it could
mukti.
be, and we'd have
Puede ser, y
incidences of that,
tenemos
where, for example,
historias
Sukadeva, the bhakti
como
was more prominent,
Shukadeva, por ejemplo, su
and
bhakti era más
as a result,
fuerte.
his desire for,
Y
let's say,
como
merging with Brahman,
resultado,
Brahma Suja, was retired.
su deseo
So,
de fundirse con
every case is not the same.
Brahman
You have to
desapareció.
measure
O
and
sea,
see.
cada caso no es
Someone may
igual.
have a little influence of bhakti, but maybe just
Hay que ver si alguien tiene
respects
un poquito de
bhakti.
influencia del bhakti.
Even that might be enough to attain
Ya
a
solo si
incomplete
respetara
form of
el bhakti sería suficiente
liberation, let's say,
para lograr una forma incompleta de liberación,
in
digamos,
which the
en la
self
cual
and its destiny is not fully manifest, but it's the removal of all the material influence. It's twofold. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in a section
Bhaktivinoda
in
Thakur
his Dasamula,
dice
he's
en su
speaking about this.
Dasamula,
The section I'm quoting.
habla de
He's
esto,
explaining
y ahí
famous
explica
Bhagavatam verse,
un verso del
Muktirtvanitanupam
Bhagavatam.
Swarupena Vedastiti. Mukti, what is mukti?
¿Qué es
It's the
mukti?
liberation, it's the removal of the negative, and there's a positive. So he speaks about Brahma Sayuja as removal of the
Quiere
negative,
decir
but the full
quitar lo
positive
negativo
prospect of the jiva has not been
y adquirir lo
fulfilled.
positivo.
Its inherent bliss even
Entonces,
has not been fully
la beatitud
fully
inherente del
manifest.
jiva
Does that help?
en el Brahman no se ha manifestado completamente.
Okay,
¿Está bien?
good. Another question.
Sajjan has a follow-up question.
Sajjan tiene una pregunta sobre esto. Bien.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
In regard to what you just shared,
Con respecto a lo que acaba de compartir,
I have a twofold, it's actually a twofold question.
Tengo una
The
pregunta
first
doble.
part
La primera
is
parte
it feels or
es,
seems from what you just shared that
parece,
well, you did say that after all material desires have been retired, then the desire for mukti
que
also
dopo
needs to
che
be
se han
retired.
evaporado todos
Did I
los
hear that
deseos
correctly or
materiales,
no?
luego hay que
No, what I was, yes, but
deshacerse
what
del
I was
deseo para
saying was
mukti.
that
¿Es correcto? No, lo que he dicho es que
all material desires need to be retired
todos los
to
deseos
attain mukti.
materiales hay que
If we want to attain Goloka Vrindavan, for example, then the desire for
Ah,
mukti has to be
descartarlos, pero
retired.
para uno que quiera
okay,
llegar a
that's what I
So
Goloka
was
let's say,
thinking.
Vrindavan, también
let's
el
say I
deseo
meet
para
someone in the
liberación.
everyday world and they have material desires. I try to tell them about Krishna and enlighten them. Okay, that's easy comparatively. If I
Pongamos que
meet
alguien
some
esté
jnani
lleno de
who's
deseos
absorbing, just
materiales
trying
y
to
yo
attain
estoy con la
impersonal
tarea de
Brahman,
predicarles sobre el mundo
it's
espiritual
going
y
to be harder for me to
convertirlos. Esto es
convince him to
fácil.
retire his
Va a
desire
ser más
for
difícil
mukti
hablarle a
and replace it
alguien
with a desire
que tiene como ideal
for
el del mukti,
bhakti.
porque esta persona ya es un
Okay,
espiritualista.
so it's I guess that brings in the second part of the
Bueno, esto
question
me
is
lleva a
that
la segunda pregunta,
it would seem
que es
that
que al
if the
parecer,
desire for mukti is
si el deseo
prominent or
para el mukti
foremost
es
of all other
principal,
desires, then there's no place in Krishna's Leela for such a person.
entonces
Would
no
that
hay
include
lugar en el
Dwarka
lila
as
de Krishna
well,
para estas
etc.?
personas.
Or
Pero esto
would
incluye
one be
también Dwarka
consigned
Lila,
to Vaikuntha, let's
o
say, if
puede
that
ser
was
que
the
uno
case?
quede
What I'm
confinado
just
en
kind of doing the
Vaikuntha.
best I
O
can
sea,
here
me estoy tratando de
with
entender.
emotions.
Well, obviously there are different forms of mukti, and
Bueno, hay
all the
diferentes tipos
sampradayas,
de
the Vaishnava
mukti.
sampradayas,
Cada
have
sampradaya
mukti as the goal,
tiene a
except for the
mukti
Gaudiya
como su
sampradaya, which says
meta,
prema is the goal,
excepto el Gaudiya Sampradaya,
which
donde
in which
la
mukti
meta es
is
prema,
included. Mm.
que ya sola
And
incluye mukti.
and you know that's the speciality of the Gaudiya sampradaya. It's revealing a penetration
Esta
into
es la
transcendence
especialidad
that's very peculiar.
del Gaudiya, de la
In
Sampradaya, el
which
Gaudiya
it doesn't even
Sampradaya.
appear that they're liberated. It's
Ni siquiera aparece, ni
aprakrita, right?
siquiera
It's
aparecen liberados. Es un estadio
everybody's
de
attached to their
liberación
village and their friends and
Yeah.
muy
family
particular, donde
and their
todos
son
los
and friend and
brajavasis
lover
están
and so forth.
apegados
And
a
they worship
su
Narayan at
aldea,
the same
a
time.
su pueblo, a su
So
familia, a
it's
sus
Yeah.
a rather
amigos. Parece muy raro.
peculiar, but it's an intensification of the
Pero
prema, if you
es
will,
una
that we find even
intensificación del prema, si
in
quieren,
Vaikuntha. So
que se
there
encuentra en
are those
Vaikuntha
in Vaikuntha
también.
who desire prema. There are those in
Se
Vaikuntha who
encuentran
desire
algunos en
Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha que desean
And
prema
the opulences of Vaikuntha,
y algunos
and
que solo desean la
and then there are
riqueza
those
de
that
Vaikuntha.
whose praying is centered on Govinda, and that's a peculiar
Luego hay
and
los
and
cuyo
different,
prema está
and to
centrado
be
en Govinda,
differentiated from even those in Vaikuntha
y
who
estos se
desire
distinguen
praying but accept the
también
perks of Vaikuntha that others desire
de los de
and can
Vaikuntha.
attain,
Estas
like
personas
living
se
on the same
diferencian,
planet with God,
se distinguen.
having the same opulences of God, having a form like God's.
Por
And
ejemplo,
so
las
they may accept
liberaciones
those things, those who desire praying
dentro
for
de
Narayan,
Vaikuntha son la de tener la
in the
misma forma
context
de
of
Dios,
service.
vivir en la
There
misma
are others who actually
morada de
desire
Dios,
those things
etc.
and
Hay algunos
attain
que
that
sí
type of
desean
mukti.
estas cosas y las
And serve
logran.
Bhagavan from that perspective.
Y
But
vean
the
a
devotees
Bhagavan
of
de esta
Goloka,
perspectiva.
they don't
Pero
desire
los
to live in
devotos de
Vaikuntha
Goloka no
on the
desean
planet of
nada
God.
que se encuentre
I
en
mean,
Vaikuntha.
they do. They worship Narayan in Goloka, but they don't. They don't
O
desire
sea,
to have a
sí,
form
porque en Goloka
like
adoran a
Krishna's.
Narayan,
I mean, their forms are similar, especially the coward
pero,
friends of Krishna. But
Right.
pero es
but
diferente. O sea, cada
it's not,
pastorcillo tiene una
that idea
forma
is not really being
similar a la de
applied
Krishna,
there.
pero distinta.
Same opulences. They actually have the same opulences. Any coward boy could
En
have easily
realidad,
killed any of the
sí
demons that
tienen las
Krishna killed.
mismas opulencias. Uno de los
That's
pastorcillos
a fact.
podría matar
But
a
but
cualquier de los
Krishna's done it
demonios,
by the
pero Krishna
arrangement of
lo hizo.
his
Entonces, por
his
arreglo de su
Shakti, such so that his
Shakti,
heroic quality, which is an udipana for Sakirasa, will manifest.
se da de esta forma para que todas sus cualidades de Krishna
Yes, as a matter of fact,
se
based on
manifiesten
what you
y
just
alimenten
shared,
el Sakyarasa de los pastorcillos.
if any of the coward boys could have killed any of the demons, just
Entonces
as
dice
Krishna did,
Sajan,
so
si cada uno de los
if we
pastorcillos
take
podría
the
haber
example
matado
of Sarshti
a los
Mukti
demonios, si
having
tomamos el ejemplo
having
de
similar
Sarshti
powers
Mukti,
as God,
Right.
but
tener los mismos poderes de Dios,
next, it would appear that that's what you just described about the cowherd boys.
That's
Just
what I
in
was
that one
saying.
little example. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So let's see, is that possible or
entonces es
available
posible
also like
también
in the Vaikuntha planets
que en los
where
planetas
Krishna
Vaikuntha,
is present?
donde Krishna se encuentra con la forma
Like
de
Dwarka,
Krishna.
is Dwarka?
Por ejemplo, Dwarka,
Could we
Okay,
say
Dwarka
that
is part of
Dwarka?
Goloka.
Dwarka es
Dwarka
parte
is part
de
of
Goloka,
Goloka.
dice Guru
So
Maharaj.
there's three basic divisions
Hay
of
tres
Goloka.
divisiones en
There's
Goloka.
Dwarka, there's
Está
Mathura,
Dwarka,
and
Mathura
then
y
there's
Vrindavan.
Vrindavan. Mm. And Krishna is perfect in Dwarka, more perfect in Mathura,
Krishna
most
está
perfect in
perfecto en
Vrindavan.
Dwarka, más
So
perfecto en
that's all
Mathura
Goloka
y
Vrindavan,
lo más
where
perfecto
Krishna
en
is
Vrindavan.
the object of worship
Porque en
and
Vrindavan
center.
Krishna es el objeto de la
But
adoración y el centro,
of the love of devotees.
el
But
centro del
yeah, I
amor
guess
de los
what I'm
devotos.
saying is that
Lo
yeah,
que estoy
there's
diciendo
a
es
semblance
que
of or a unique form, you could say, of
hay una
Sarsti Mukti
semejanza
in Goloka or Salokya. They're living on the planet of God. I mean, Krishna is God, but it's a
Yes.
different experience. It's a different experience. They're not experiencing, I have the powers of God. The coward boys aren't thinking,
O sea,
I
los
have the powers of
pastorcillos
God.
sí tienen el tipo de
What a
mukti,
blessing. Or I'm living on the planet of God. That's not the way it's
sarshti.
experienced.
O sea, sí,
Okay.
viven
And the
con
only
Dios,
reason I
pero
asked that
ellos, los
last
pastorcillos,
question
no
was
tienen el
because
sentido de
it
que yo
seems
vivo en la
as if
misma morada
whenever
de Bhagavan.
the subject of one of the other four types of vibration besides Sayuja is brought up, immediately the conversation moves away from Krishna over to Narayan, like that. So that's why I asked that last question. If such,
La razón por
if
qué pregunté
such
la segunda pregunta es porque
life was possible with Krishna rather than
la mayoría de,
merely with
de los tipos de
Narayan.
liberación devocionales
That's
se
a
refieren
small
a
thing, but
Narayan.
you understand.
Yeah. And you understand my
Entonces, por eso que
answer, right?
pregunté. Pero usted entiende,
Yes,
¿verdad?
oh yes,
Guru
thank you
Maharaj
so
dice, sí,
much.
usted entiende la respuesta.
Okay.
Sí, gracias.
Hare Krishna. Next.
Okay, back to
Siguiente.
Brighton.
Bueno,
Shirada.
de vuelta a Brighton. Sri Radha.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Tripurari Goswami.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
for your
Tripurari
presence here.
Goswami.
We're all so happy and joyful.
Good.
What I wanted to ask you was, how
Lo que
do
te
we
quería
really know the
preguntar
true
es,
nature of ourselves? I
¿cómo
mean, I know I'm a
sabemos
spark of the
realmente
supreme spark,
la
but how do
naturaleza
I
del
know?
ser?
How
O
do I
sea,
know
yo
how
sé que
to
soy una
serve
chispa
and love Krishna and serve and love the
del
devotees?
Supremo,
What is my true nature?
pero ¿cómo
I
sé
wouldn't know. I mean, when I look
lo que
back
es
on
mi
my past, I did
naturaleza
a lot of things that wasn't my true nature.
verdadera?
And it was very empty inside and unfulfilled. Now I feel fulfilled now, but at the same time,
Antes me sentía
what is my true
vacía,
nature?
pero
What
ahora,
does that
no,
really
ahora me
mean
siento
even?
más,
Well, I think that the answer in a basic sense
bueno,
is given
lleno,
to us
pero ¿cuál es mi
in that
naturaleza
all of
verdadera?
us,
Guru Maharaj dice,
despite our karmic
cada uno de
differences
nosotros,
and dispositions
a pesar
and
de nuestras
what we
diferencias
make of ourselves in
kármicas
this world as to who we are and what
y
is our
lo
nature.
que
So
hacemos de este
that is
mundo
all
y del concepto que tenemos de nosotros
external, if you
mismos,
will.
eso
And
es
beyond
todo
that,
externo. Más allá que
we're all
esto,
servants of Bhagwan. We exist
somos
for that
servidores de
purpose.
Bhagavan.
So there's a basic divide and difference
Hay una división y
in a very
diferencia
broad
básica
sense between our reality
entre
and
nuestra
our
realidad.
illusion. And it could be summed up or illustrated through the two words, service and enjoyment.
No
So
entendí lo que
in the material world,
dijo después. Y se
we
pueden resumir como
see ourselves as
servicio
the
y
enjoyers through
disfrute.
our senses of the objects of senses. Mhm. And as if, even unconsciously, we conduct ourselves as if,
Es
even
como si,
unconsciously, as if we're the
inclusive
center. Things are centered around us.
subconsciente, nos
We see
comportamos como
things
si
how they will
fuéramos
be
el
utilized for our
centro.
purpose, for our
Vemos las
pleasure,
cosas como
and our
algo que
sense of
podemos usar
I
para nuestros
is
propósitos y
derived
tenemos
from
un
our
sentido del
material
yo
conditioning,
que se deriva de
our
nuestros acondicionamientos
psycho
materiales, de nuestra
biological,
psicología
sense of self,
y
right?
de nuestro sentido del ser
Now,
biológico.
actually, we're not the center,
Pero nosotros
and
no somos el
everything is
centro
not
en
for
realidad
our enjoyment.
y no todo es para
So,
nuestro disfrute.
As we move along in that direction, we foster this false enjoying identity. Bhaktisiddhanta
Y
Saraswati
conforme
Thakur said that
nos
humility
comportamos según estas,
is absence of the
digamos, guías,
enjoying spirit.
nos alejamos de nuestra
The
naturaleza.
enjoying spirit.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur habla
Pujapad
del
Sridhar Maharaj used to
espíritu de
explain the enjoying
disfrute.
spirit as exploitative. You're exploiting the objective world, if you will, for our sense of purpose,
Sridhar Maharaj lo llama
which
espíritu
is
de
derived from our
explotación.
investment in the objective world rather than drawing back into ourself. So if humility is the absence
Entonces,
of the
si
enjoying
humildad
spirit,
es la ausencia del espíritu
how would that manifest?
disfrute, ¿cómo se
Absence
manifestaría?
of the enjoying spirit
La
in a most
ausencia
comprehensive sense will
del
manifest
espíritu de
in the form
disfrute
of a serving spirit,
en
which
su
is
forma más
diametrically
completa se manifiesta
opposed
como
to the
servicio.
enjoying. I'm the enjoyer, I'm the servant.
Es lo más opuesto
It's one thing to say,
a lo
I'm
que
going to
es
stop enjoying,
el disfrute.
or I'm going to stop taking.
Algo es decir,
No.
voy a parar de disfrutar
Taking
o voy a
is not
parar
loving, right?
voy a dejar de
Loving is
tomar.
giving.
El
I could
amor
stop
es
taking,
todo sobre el dar. Uno podría
but to
parar de
comprehensively
tomar,
stop taking
pero para
and continue to do something
dejar de
and be
tomar de
something,
forma más completa
well, what
y
will I do?
hacer
I
algo
will
y
serve.
ser algo, ¿qué es lo que me queda?
So-
Servir.
There's a beautiful statement by Uddhava in the Bhagavatam. He says,
Hay una afirmación muy bonita de Uddhava en el Bhagavatam.
my renunciation is to
¿Qué
wear the
dice?
vestments of Krishna,
Mi
the
renuncia
hand-me-downs of Krishna.
consiste
Now,
en
Krishna is the prince in Dwarka,
el
so we can
llevar
imagine he's
las
dressed pretty
vestimentas
nicely.
de Krishna. Y Krishna es un príncipe de
In
Dwarka,
Vrindavan, of
entonces
course, he's
sus
most
vestimentas son
beautiful.
muy
It's just a coward boy, but mostly
bonitas.
just wears an upper
En
shutter
Vrindavan
and
también,
a dhoti and has a
pero en
rustic
Vrindavan por lo
appearance,
más
decorated
solo
with the
tenía un dhoti,
gunjamala,
un chadar y
leaves from
tenía
the
joyas
forest,
rústicas hechas de
the minerals,
semillas y se pintaba el cuerpo
decorating
con
himself and
polvos
others decorating and
minerales
so
y se
forth.
decoraba así.
But in Dwarka, he's in a
Pero
princely
en
leela.
Dwaraka es un
So the
príncipe,
hand-me-downs, if you will, of
entonces
Krishna are going to be very
la ropa de
royal,
segunda
regal.
mano de Krishna es muy
Now, someone
regal.
wearing, how can someone say
Entonces, ¿cómo puede
wearing
ser
a
que uno dice mi
regal,
renuncia consiste
fancy Dan,
en
attirement, is an
el llevar
expression of
puestos
renunciation? It looks the complete opposite. But what
las
Uddhava is
vestimentas
saying
de
is,
Krishna, que es un príncipe,
that
es el opuesto.
I am only living
Pero la
as a
implicación
servant
es
of
que
Bhagavan.
yo solo
He's
vivo como un
maintaining me.
servidor de Bhagavan, Él me
I will only
mantiene.
dress myself
Yo solo me
with
visto
whatever he discards.
con lo que Él desecha.
That's my mood. I'm his servant
Este es mi
only.
estado de ánimo. Yo soy su servidor
He gives
solamente.
me something to wear, I'll wear something.
Si me da
So
algo que llevar,
his
me visto, si no, no.
renunciation, if you will, takes a very beautiful and extraordinary form.
Entonces la
And what he's saying
renuncia
there is that
así toma una forma muy bonita.
the service attitude
Y la
is
actitud de
more
servicio
difficult to embrace
es
than merely
más
giving up the taking.
difícil
You were talking about Gyanis, maybe
de
you want to attain
aceptar.
mukti. They agree I shouldn't exploit the world, but
Los
I just want to sit
Gyanis
peacefully and not
solo
exploit the
quieren
world.
mukti y
Because I've been
quieren
running around in the
parar
world
de
for so long in
actuar, solo
circles,
quieren
and I'm tired of
sentarse
it. I want to sit here
porque están
and
cansados del
I'll
mundo.
agree to not exploit it as long as I can have peace. Shanti,
Aceptan de
shanti,
estar
shanti,
en
eternally.
paz, de no hacer nada
And you
más,
bhaktas
nada
are
de
coming along
karma,
telling me to get up
mientras
and
puedan
milk a
estar en
cow,
paz.
and then
Shanti,
clean up
shanti,
after the
shanti.
cow.
Y
And
en
then milk her
Bhakti
again at night, clean up after
se
again
me
at night. It never
pide que
ends.
ordeñe una vaca
And you got this deity of
día
Bhagavan,
tras
and
día.
he just like,
Y luego hay
it never ends
esta
either.
deidad de
The more you
Bhagavan que
serve him, the closer
tampoco
you get to him, the more he wants, and
para de
then you
pedir
got no time
servicio.
for
Entre
yourself.
más le das, más te pide
So
y nunca
that
hay descanso.
accepting the service is a much more comprehensive
Entonces, aceptar el
expression
servicio
of overcoming
es una
the enjoying
expresión
spirit. So the
más
divide between the
completa
material
de
life and the
ganar
spiritual life
este espíritu
is
de
a divide
explotación.
between the enjoying spirit and the serving spirit. And so, in the generic, broad sense,
En un
what
sentido muy
we are
genérico,
ultimately
nosotros
is
somos,
servants of
en última
Bhagavan. Now, there are
instancia, los
particulars to
servidores de
that,
Bhagavan.
of course, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, that will arise in due course. When we hear the Leelas of Bhagavan, when we hear
Luego hay detalles
explanations
particulares
of the teaching and so forth
cuando
of the Bhagavad,
escuchamos el
good
lila de
association and so forth,
Bhagavan.
gradually over a period of time,
Gradualmente, con el
samskars
tiempo,
for bhakti
se forman
will
samskara
develop
para
within us, and
bhakti,
they will result
y
in the
esto va a
experience that we're
resultar
choosing something that in his
en una
perspective
experiencia. Nosotros vamos
is waiting to
a
manifest.
escoger.
Tanu prem upajay. His prem is waiting to manifest. It's in an unmanifest condition, and of course, with the ingress of bhakti, it will manifest. This is his teaching. So you give that some time, and check in with me later. And
Entonces,
say,
el prema de la alma
Maharaj,
está ahí
Swami Maharaj,
esperando de
Tripurari Maharaj, my
manifestarse, y
friend,
con el ingreso
I've been
Bhakti, todo se
I've
va a
been hearing the
desarrollar
Bhagavatam,
con el tiempo.
and I've been
Entonces,
reading this
tú
section,
quédate
and
ahí escuchando
I
y
really like
leyendo y
it.
practicando.
I'm attracted to these type of leelas.
Has desarrollado una atracción
Am
para
I
estos lilas.
on course here? And then
Y
we'll
ahora te estás
analyze
preguntando,
what
¿estoy en el
does
sendero
that mean?
justo?
What do you think that means?
¿Estoy haciendo lo justo?
How much do you understand the tattva that underlies that? And if we see,
Te
she has
empiezas a
some understanding,
preguntar
then we may
cuánto
give
estás entendiendo
confirmation.
del
We find
tacto.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur doing this. The two disciples, they come, and they're well studied. You can see it at that time.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur se ve que hizo así.
And how the Bhagavad Lila narrative is affecting them.
Y
Gurudev
en su
asks, and
libro
they
se ve como los
express it, and then he
discípulos
gives confirmation. That's in a more specific sense.
se acercan al
But I
guru,
think that,
empiezan
in
su
the
vida
broader
espiritual, y
sense,
luego se
we
ve
have
como el Bhakti los
most of the
cambia,
devotees,
y
99.9% of them have a long way to go, even to get to that stage.
pero bueno,
So it's better
99% de
perhaps to
nosotros
emphasize
tienen un camino mucho
that
largo enfrente de sí para
service,
llegar
dasya service,
a ese estadio.
over bhakti, which means service,
Bhakti,
over
que quiere decir servicio,
bhukti, and over mukti. Mukti means exploiting the world.
tiene que ser el ideal.
I want the world.
Arriba de
I want the
bhukti y
world for
mukti.
myself. I
Bhakti
realize
quiere
I can't
decir
have it.
querer
Okay,
disfrutar del
but I could
mundo.
be God.
Quiere decir, yo quiero
And
el
merge
mundo
with
para
Brahman,
mí.
identified with Brahman. So that's pretty attractive. So okay,
Luego
I'll
nos
give
damos
up
cuenta,
give up the world.
que no
I'll
podemos
stop
ser
exploiting
Dios,
the world.
que el mundo no puede ser para nosotros.
And
No, o sea, que el mundo no es para, no podemos lograr el mundo.
one thing
Entonces
to
uno se
exploit
vuelve
the
a
world
muktis.
is the
Entonces
center in either
puedo
case. I either
convertirme
want
en
to take it
Dios.
or I want to get away from it. That's bhukti and mukti.
Bhukti y
In
mukti quiere
bhakti, the
decir
world is
que
not the
o
center.
quiero el mundo para
Krishna is the
mí
center.
o quiero dejarlo todo.
If it's necessary to give up something for Krishna's service, no problem. If it's necessary to
Mientras
accept
en
something
Bhakti
for Krishna's service,
lo
no
aceptamos
problem.
todo y lo rechazamos todo
So anyway,
en base
that help?
a cuánto nos
Very much.
ayuda
I just
en
know
nuestro
that
progreso en Bhakti.
when I do give, I have to be careful that I'm serving Krishna and not doing it for my own need to have
Entonces dice
praise.
ella,
and
cuando
be-
yo
Yes,
tengo
that's
ninguna
the
ganancia,
kind of
tengo que
interest.
estar,
That's the kind of important kind of
tengo que
introspection
preguntarme, ¿es
that a
para
devotee
mí
has to have.
o
One
es
has to catch
para
oneself
Krishna?
whenever one, even in the
Sí.
most subtle way.
Cada devoto tiene que constantemente
If that motive
preguntárselo porque puede
is
llegar de
involved
forma
in
muy
affecting,
sutil.
we have to dismiss it because it's just like
Si no es para
the
el
stool of
placer
a
de
pig.
Krishna, tenemos que
Yeah.
Pratishtha. And pigs eat stool, so I mean,
desecharlo,
what their
porque
stool must
es
be,
como,
it's pretty bad
se
from
considera
our
como
perspective.
el
So that
estiércol
this is very,
de
very
cerdo.
unbecoming
Y el
for
cerdo es un animal
devotees.
que
We have
come
to
cerdo,
just
que
dispense
come,
with that.
que come
Very good. So you're
excrementos.
doing that. So
Entonces,
that's very good.
para dar una idea
Thank
de lo
you.
feo que
Thank
es.
you so
Okay.
much. Hare Krishna.
Can I ask a follow-up question just about the Sarup being, so now we're kind of looking at the Sarup from Bhakti Vinod Thakur's perspective as being that it's predetermined, that the Sarup would be there as a predetermined fact that you're a
Entonces ahora parece que Bhaktivinoda
Manjari
Thakur
or
dice
you're a
que
cowboy.
el Swarupa es
That's
predeterminado,
what he says as an unmanifest reality. Yeah.
es una
Yeah.
la realidad,
So,
bueno, sí, es
so
una
even if
realidad
you
no
have
manifiesta.
a particular influence coming through you, coming in your environment, that won't change
Entonces, si
the
nos
fact
llega
that
alguna
you're destined to a
influencia
particular.
en nuestro ambiente,
Such
esto
as, you mean sadhusanga?
no va a cambiar,
Mhm.
como dice, como sadhusanga, sí.
Yeah, you will need a considerable amount of association
Bueno, nos hace falta cierta
along the same
cantidad
lines
de
for it to
asociación
manifest.
para que todo eso
But
se
despite
manifieste
the
en el
fact that you
corazón.
might have association to the contrary, it won't. And we see that in the example of Balaba, for example, the brother of Sanatana and Rupa.
En el ejemplo
Said
de
they stayed up all
Vallabha
night trying to convince him of the
vemos que Rupa y
superiority,
Sanata
if you will, relatively speaking,
estuvieron
of the worship of Radha and Krishna,
despiertos toda
rather
la
than
noche
seeking love.
diciéndole lo
We agree
superior
with
que
them.
es la adoración a
Well,
Radha
you know,
y Krishna.
philosophically, you're making good points, but he couldn't sleep all night. And he couldn't give up his
Y la filosofía tenía sentido, pero este devoto no podía
sentiment for
dejar sus
Ram
sentimientos
Bhakti.
para
And when
Ramachandra.
Mahaprabhu heard this, he celebrated that.
Y cuando
Glorious is the Lord who
Mahaprabhu
won't
lo
give up
oyó,
his devotee, said, and
estaba muy
glorious is the
contento,
Lord.
dijo,
Is a devotee who won't give up his
gloria
Lord.
al
So, and
devoto
there
que
are,
no
you know,
abandona
any
a
number
su
of
Dios y
examples like that.
gloria al Dios que no
Another
abandona a su
example,
devoto.
disciples of the same guru, one developing affinity for Sakya Rasa, another for Madhurya Rasa.
Los dos
And then
discípulos del
eventually
mismo guru pueden tener una
they were,
afinidad, uno para Sakya Rasa y el otro para Madhurya Rasa.
well, became associated with Siksha gurus whose orientation corresponded with theirs. I mean, the story of
La historia de
one of them in that regard is given. The implications the other one did the same. Does that help?
Very much, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, back to Brighton. Suki Krishna.
Suki
Suki
Krishna.
Krishna Das. Ki Jai. I can't hear you now.
No te
Brighton.
escucho.
Now I can.
Ahora sí.
Nice to see you again.
Me alegro verte otra
so-
vez.
In your lectures, I've heard many times you give this example about the three different
tus
types of gurus.
clases,
The one
Muchas
with
veces
2 feet in the spiritual world,
hablas
but
de
gazing
tres
down
tipos de gurus.
into the material world. One
Uno que
with 1
tiene
foot in the
dos
material
pies
world,
en el
1 foot
mundo
in the spiritual
material
world.
y con los
One with
ojos
2
hacia el
feet in the
mundo
spiritual
espiritual.
world, 2 feet in the material
Uno
world,
con
but
un pie en el
gazing
mundo
at the spiritual
espiritual,
world.
otro en un pie, el otro en el
So
mundo espiritual,
I guess I'm just something I'm trying to give a lot of thought to at this point.
etcétera. Y es algo que estoy,
I think like conventionally I've heard
sobre que estoy reflexionando mucho.
sort of things explained in a way of sort of in terms of gurus in a kanishta or madhyam or uttam. So I'm wondering if this is
Me preguntaba si es una
compatible with
correlación
that.
con el
Is it
guru que puede ser
correlating to that
Kanishta,
explanation?
Madhyama o
And
Uttama.
then I think that the real thing is that like I feel that there's I'm looking for some additional insight to that way of
Estoy
explaining.
buscando más
Yeah.
That makes
respuestas
sense.
Yes, thank you.
sobre esto.
No,
Sí, tiene
it
sentido,
wouldn't
sí.
correspond with Kanishta,
No corresponde con
Madhyam
Kanishta, Madhyama
and Uttam.
y Uttama.
But to elaborate on Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam,
Pero
as we
para
have
decir
in the
unas
past, of
palabras
course,
como sobre
the
Kanishta,
idea has been
Madhyama y
given
Uttama.
by that there's the Kanishta, the Madhyam Kanishta, the
Se
Uttam
dice que
Kanishta.
también hay diferentes niveles
There's the
dentro
Kanishta
de los
Madhyam, the
Kanishtas. Se
Madhyam Madhyam,
encuentra
the Uttam
Kanishta,
Madhyam.
Kanishta, Madhyama
There's the
Kanishta,
Kanishta
Uttama
Uttam,
Kanishta,
Madhyam Uttam, the Uttam,
Kanishta
Uttam, and
Madhyama,
Uttam,
Madhyama
Uttam,
Madhyama,
You
Uttama
know,
Madhyama,
so the
y
point
luego el
being here,
Kanishtottama, Madhyamottama y
this was published
Uttamottama.
in, I think, the Harmonist many years ago after Bhaktisiddhanta disappeared. This kind of, making it clear that there's a lot of gray here in this,
Hay
in
mucho
the spectrum.
gris en el medio.
So these are, when we say Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam, they're broader ideas, but But at any rate, the description of the three types of gurus, this is more or less a poetic description.
La descripción de los tres tipos de guru es más que nada una descripción poética de Sridhar Maharaj.
I believe that they correspond with what Jiva Goswami has written in Bhakti
Y creo que
Sandarbha,
corresponde con lo que Jiva Goswami escribió en Bhakti Sandarbha,
where he talks about three types of Mahabhagavatas.
donde habla de tres tipos de Mahabhagavata.
Nirjita Chai, Kashai, Muchita Kashai, I believe it is, Bhagavat Prapt Deha. I believe these are the terms that he uses. And he gives examples of them. So the first example is Narada
El
Muni.
primer ejemplo es Narada Muni.
This would correspond with the guru who has 2 feet here, but his
Este
eyes are there.
corresponde con el guru que tiene
Always
dos pies aquí, pero mirando hacia el
Narada
mundo
Muni
espiritual.
he heard from the Mahabhagavatas who stayed
Narada
in his
Muni
home
escuchó
for
del
4 months during the
Mahabhagavata,
rainy season. After they left, his mother
unos
died,
Mahabhagavatas
so he
que se
burned the
pasaron la
house.
temporada de lluvia.
That was the
Y
funeral fire.
después que se
And
llevaron,
followed the
su madre
teachings
murió,
of the
entonces él le
Mahabhagavatas.
dio
One of
fuego
their
a
emphasis
toda la casa
of which was,
y se
this
fue,
world is temporary. You can't count on anything. He saw it happen. My
porque
mother
él
died.
entendió lo que
He just
dijeron
took it
los
to heart,
Mahabhagavatas,
and
que
he
el
became
mundo
a
es
wandering
temporal
mendicant,
y
right?
no te puedes
And
quedar con
ultimately, he
nada.
went through towns and villages, and he ended in the forest.
Y
There, this
luego
was being
acabó
in
en
the
la
forest,
foresta
and following the directive of the
y siguiendo
Bhagavatas, he was
las
engaging in bhakti,
instrucciones de estos
and
Mahabhagavatas
Bhagavan
hizo
appeared to
bhakti
him.
y
He had a
Bhagavan le
vision of
apareció.
Bhagavan, the darshan of Bhagavan,
Él
for a moment.
tomó una visión
And
de Bhagavan por
Bhagavan
un momento
spoke to him and told him to show myself to you just to confirm
y él le dijo, mira, me voy
in no uncertain
a
terms
mostrar ante ti
that
justo para
what you're worshiping is not it's some imaginary, it's a
confirmar que
figment
lo
of
que
your
estás
imagination, right?
adorando no es imaginario.
And then disappeared,
Pero luego desapareció,
causing a separation which drove Narada to
y
another
esto
stage
causó una separación
altogether,
que
in
empujó a
which Bhagavan
Narada
appeared to him,
hacia
gave him a
otro
vina,
estadio,
and gave him a name. This is who you
donde
are. This
Dios
is the bliss of
apareció otra
yourself,
vez y le
fully
dio una
manifest
vina y un
for
nombre
Narada.
y le dijo, esta es tu identidad
Here's your vina,
espiritual,
so on and so
aquí
forth,
está tu
right?
vina.
So Narada is an example of the first type,
Narada es un
2 feet
ejemplo del
here,
primer
eyes there
tipo de
in the
guru,
forest,
dos pies
and
aquí
Narada is an example of the last type, Bhagavat Prapta
y
Deha.
los ojos allá.
He's in
Y
this
Narada
world
también es un
in a
ejemplo
spiritual
del
body.
último tipo, donde
You're
tiene
not going
los
to
dos
find too many
pies
gurus like that.
en el mundo espiritual. No,
In
usted
Aprakat
no
Lila,
vas a encontrar
you'll find
muchos gurus de este tipo.
persons in spiritual bodies in this world. I suppose you could say in Gaur Lila, but that's pretty extraordinary, right? To be
En
moving
Gaura
in
Lila
it, especially if the spiritual body is of a Gopa or Gopi.
es
So anyway,
difícil encontrar
Bhagavad
uno
Prapta
que es
Deha on the one
guru
end, both
y
feet
que
there,
actúa desde el mundo espiritual.
extending 1 foot here. Sridhar Maharaj's way of putting it, right? The other end of the spectrum, both feet here, eyes are always there. Another way to talk about that type of guru is in Ruchi.
Otra forma de hablar de esto es en Ruchi.
Therefore, Pujapad Sridhar Maharaj used to say, in Ruchi
Sridhar
one is
Maharaj
safe,
decía que en
because
Ruchi
nadanam,
uno está
najanam,
a
nasundrim,
salvo
kavitamba.
porque
In Nishta,
no
one is
desea
engaged in
nada
bhakti so intensely
en Bhakti, en
that
Nishta.
the seeds of
Uno
material
está
desire that
haciendo
still
Bhakti
remain
con tanta
aren't able to
intensidad
manifest.
que
Just like
las
if you pour
semillas
water
de
constantly
deseos
on a seed, well,
materiales
it's
que
going to get
todavía tiene
waterlogged. It's not going to
no
manifest.
tienen
The
manera
seeds are there.
de
In
desarrollarse.
Ruchi, the seeds are gone.
Pero en Ruchi las
And
semillas
the
ya no están.
desire is only for bhakti.
Y cualquier
Mama
deseo es solo
Janmani
para
Janmanishwar.
Bhakti.
The desire for mukti is
Mama
in
Janmani
totally
Janmanishwar.
retired. What, birth after birth, it makes no difference. I just want to do bhakti.
Nacimiento tras
Bhakti Vinod
nacimiento
Thakur
no
is
hace
Bhakti
ninguna
Tattva Vivek.
diferencia.
He says
Solo queremos
Shuddha
Bhakti.
Bhakti, pure Bhakti means
Bhaktivinoda
Ruchi.
dice,
This is in higher stages
un Shuddha
of
Bhakta
sadhana bhakti.
empieza con Ruchi.
Ujjapachita Maharaj can say in Ruchi, he's safe.
Sridhar
And
Maharaj
she can,
también dijo que en
his
Ruchi uno
implication,
está a
he
salvo
can do the work of the guru.
y puede hacer el trabajo del guru.
Has positive. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Bhatam. Something has come from that side, and a specific desire, not just a thought out desire, but actually it's coming from the heart desire
Es un
for
deseo que
bhakti
viene del
in a
corazón
particular way.
para
As he
bhakti en
advances
una
from ruchi
forma
to
particular.
asakti, the object
Conforme
of
uno
that
va
taste
avanzando de ruchi
will
a
appear.
asakti,
Krishna will appear be attached to that form of Bhagavan
luego
that
nos quedamos
corresponds
apegados a
with
esta forma de
the
Bhagavan que
specific
corresponde
taste for
a
bhakti that has
este
developed,
particular gusto
awakened
para el
in the heart.
bhakti que se ha desarrollado en nuestro corazón.
So, in that stage, well, you're not even looking at other things that have some attraction to you and avoiding them.
En este
You
estado
could call
uno ni
that
siquiera está
some faint
viendo
attraction,
unas cosas y tratando
especially
de
attraction for
evitarlas,
pratishta,
lo que es nishta.
subtle things. In Ruchi Bhakti, this just
Ruchi,
doesn't, it's not an issue.
los deseos ni siquiera se
So in
forman.
that sense, the eyes are fully there.
Por eso que los ojos están completamente
Feet are
fijados
still on the
en lo
ground,
espiritual.
and Sadhana
Los
Bhakti, the eyes
pies
are fully there. So that's another way of
están
speaking
aquí y
about,
los ojos están allá.
let's say, the example of Nard that I gave first.
Ese es
So
el
we got anyway,
ejemplo,
two
el
ends of the
primer ejemplo
spectrum,
de
right?
Narada. Entonces, ahí
One
se
has 2
encuentran
feet here,
los dos
eyes are always there. Just like if you're always going west,
cabos del espectro.
you're
Un
not
tipo
at
de
the
guru
sun,
tiene
but
los
you're
dos
always
pies
in the
aquí,
sun.
pero su mirada está hacia lo
You're
espiritual.
always moving at a fast enough trajectory westward, you will always be in the sun.
Si
That person can
uno
help us
va
substantially
hacia el
in
oeste,
this world.
siempre
Others
va
can
a
help
estar
us
en
too
el
in so many
sol. El
ways,
sol
even in the
nunca se va a
context of
poner.
bhakti. A drunk person can help us even in the context of bhakti. If he's a devotee that got off course, we met him in the bar and in his drunken state, he told us about Krishna. We might become a better devotee than he is and come back and tell him to get out of the bar. So people can help us at different levels, but I'm talking
La
about on the
gente nos
level of
puede
the guru.
ayudar a diferentes
Right?
niveles, pero
So 2 feet here, eyes
nadie
there.
tanto como el guru.
Other end of the spectrum, 2
Al
feet
otro cabo
there
del espectro
extends 1 foot here.
se
That's
encuentra el
very
guru que tiene
extraordinary.
dos
Right?
pies en el mundo espiritual
Nityasiddha comes
y
here.
extiende su mirada aquí. Entonces, el
The
Nityasiddha,
in-between one,
en
which
el
is
medio,
1 foot there
se encuentra el guru que
and
tiene
1
un
foot here.
pie aquí
Jiva Goswami gave the example of Sukadeva Goswami.
y un pie allá.
In other words, he
Como
retired material
Shukadeva Goswami.
desires and he was cultivating bhakti.
Él no tenía deseos
So
materiales y
this is
estaba
the
cultivando
technical
bhakti.
example or explanation and
Ese es un ejemplo
examples
técnico.
given by Jiva Goswami that I believe correspond with
Uno
Pujapad
dado
Sridhar
por
Maharaj was
Jiva
speaking about.
Goswami.
It should be noted that Jiva Goswami doesn't say 3 types of gurus, he says 3 types of Mahabhagavatas. But
Jiva Goswami
Guru
dice
Maharaj,
tres tipos
Pujapad
de
Sridhar
guru,
Maharaj
dice
said
tres tipos
3
de
types of gurus. He
Mahabhagavatas.
applied it in that.
Pero Sridhar Maharaj lo
So
aplicó
it
al
comes from
guru.
him, but I think it corresponds with
Entonces,
Does that help?
es
Yes,
de
thank
esto
you
que
very
se
much.
está hablando. ¿Está bien?
Okay.
Sí,
Thank you
gracias.
for asking. Much appreciated. Okay.
We have Krishna Das. You have your
Krishna
question.
Tenemos a Krishna Das.
Dandavat, good morning, Guru Maharaj. Nice to see you.
Dandavat, buenos
Nice to
días,
see
me
you.
alegro verte.
My question is
Mi
regarding
pregunta es sobre,
in the first verse of the Shikshastakam,
en el primer verso
there's
del
a phrase
Shikshastakam,
in reference to Sri Krishna Sankirtan, this
se
phrase
habla
being,
del Shri Krishna Sankirtan.
it swells the sea of blessedness, gives the full taste of deathless nectar at every step. I was wondering if you could clarify the meaning of that particular
Sobre
part of the verse, because I was a bit
el
confused,
océano
being that I
del
thought
néctar.
that as one
Estaba
progresses in
confundido porque
sadhana
yo
and
sé que
practice, that
conforme uno va progresando en
I guess like in
sadhana,
early stages, it wouldn't be expected that one would have the full taste of
no se esperaría
deathless nectar at every step
que
from
uno
engaging
tiene
in Sankirtan, that I thought it was more of a gradual thing. And I guess
este
in relation to
néctar
that,
y
this
yo sé que era algo
I remember
gradual.
hearing once, I think from
Me
you,
acuerdo
that
que
the
una
different
vez
verses of the
te escuché
Shikshastakam
decir
correspond to different
que los diferentes
stages
versos del
in
Shikshastakam
bhakti,
corresponden a
such as
diferentes
Nishta, Ruchi, and so
estadios
on,
del Bhakti,
and that the first verse
Nishta,
is
Ruchi,
kind of referencing a
etc.
lot of, it kind of corresponds to initial stage. So I guess I was wondering If you could speak on this
el
a
primer
bit.
verso corresponde
Yeah, no, you
a un estado
misunderstood,
inicial.
and I
No,
think you might have read
entendiste
it, but
mal.
you need to read it again.
Lo
My
leíste,
commentary
pero
on
tienes que leerlo
Shikshastakam.
otra vez.
So
Mi
the first
comentario en
verse of
Shikshastakam
Shikshastakam,
dice que el primer
Cheto Darpana
verso,
Marjanam,
Cheto Darpana
Prabhu
Marjanam,
Mahadevagani Nirvapanam, Shreya Kairabha Chandrika Vataranam, Vidyabdu Jivanam, Anandambudi Vardhanam, Pratipadam Purnasmita Svadanam, Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This verse, as I have explained it,
este
and I believe
verso,
Bhakti knows
como
as well,
expliqué, y Bhaktivinoda Thakur también,
is a verse
es un
that
verso
in which
en el cual
all of the stages of
todos los
development
estadios
from initial faith to prema are
del Shraddha
summarized.
al Prema están
And then if you
resumidos.
take out Chaitodharpana Marjanam, which is the first stage,
Chetodharpana Marjana es el
well,
primer estadio,
that applies to Shraddha,
que se refiere a
Sadhusanga,
Shraddha, Sadhusanga.
You know, and so then Bhava Mahadevagani. So the different stages are all mentioned in there. So yes, what you'll
Los
experience
diferentes
first in
estadios se
Sankirtan is
encuentran
not
todos en el primer verso.
taste of deathless nectar at every moment.
Entonces no es que uno
You
en
might,
el principio saborea el néctar de la inmortalidad a cada momento.
I mean, you might feel tired from going out and chanting all day on the street, more than tasting the deathless nectar. But you're
En los
instead of
primeros
weeping in
estadios uno solo
ecstasy,
se va a cansar
you're
después de cantar
perspiring,
Harinam en las
making some effort
calles.
with the insight, with the knowledge, with the understanding that the
No va a saborear el néctar de la
non-kirtan
inmortalidad.
has
Pero,
great efficacy with regard to the very formidable task
siguiendo la
of
práctica,
cleansing the heart. It's a very formidable
el
task.
corazón
We
se
have
va a limpiar.
impressions, material impressions,
Todas
samskaras
las
for thousands,
impresiones
millions of
materiales
lifetimes.
que llevamos acumuladas después
So
de
we need a
millones
powerful
de
means
vidas
to
requieren un medio
dispose
muy
of those,
poderoso para que
and
nos
the powerful means
deshagamos
of
de
Nam is
ellas.
such that, going back to Radha Devdasi's earlier question, well, it
Para
not only
conectarme a la pregunta
does
de
away with the
Radha
negative,
Devidasi, el
Nam,
Sankirtan no
but
solo
it
nos ayuda a
cleanses the
deshacernos
heart
de lo
and then
negativo,
begins to
sino que
decorate
limpia el
it as
corazón
well with the positive sentiments. So
y lo
that comes
decora con los
later
sentimientos
on. I've given an example
positivos.
before. If you're an interior, you hire an interior
Si
decorator,
uno
decorate your house, they come and say, throw
contrata
that
a
away, throw
un
that away,
decorador
throw
de
that away.
interiores,
And you go, wait a minute, I like that. You know,
esta
no, that's the
persona
problem. Throw
se
that
mete en
out.
nuestro
That's the problem
apartamento y
if you like
dice,
that.
la alfombra
Get
tiene
rid
que
of all
irse,
that.
la
Now
cortina
we're going
tiene
to
que
start to
irse, el
decorate.
colchón también y esto, y uno dice,
So
pero yo te
something
llamé
like
para
that.
decorar mi casa.
Does that help?
Pero
Yes,
primero
that
hay
helps a lot.
que
Thank you very much.
deshacerse de lo feo.
Okay. Well, I think we've
Bueno,
passed the hour.
ya
And
llegamos
so
a la
we'll close
hora
here.
y vamos
I
a
hope to be with
cerrar
you
aquí.
again next week. Appreciate
Nos
your
vemos otra vez
interest,
la semana que viene y
questions.
aprecio el interés de
Gaur
todo el mundo.
Bhaktivinoda
Gaur
Ki Jai.
Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.
Gaur
Oh, thank
Premanande.
Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Libo, thank you so much, Gumaraj.